This is CBS.
This is Frank Reinecke, and just ahead on Eyewitness News at 11, a hostage drama at an Alabama elementary school has ended peacefully with the arrest of the gunman. President Reagan makes an 11th hour appeal for millions more in aid to the Contras, and tensions rise at one North Florida high school. Those stories plus sports with Ken Tomash and Mike Rucker's forecast. Next.
We've been staring at each other for days now, and we still have nothing.
I have something.
What?
A headache.
Great.
The problem is, if we're
The
going to
problem is, Barnett is everywhere in Florida.
500 locations or something, so what are our options?
We're right back where we were yesterday. Let's just recommend not going into Florida.
Bob, how long have you been with the bank now?
Maybe you should look at the bank the other banks are looking at.
Never before has so much technology been applied to the marriage of meat and bun.
You can cut the time it takes to make a burger. You can cut the time it takes to cook one. And in the end, you can cut the heart right out of a burger. All in the name of good business. Well, at Hardee's, we put a little extra care into each hamburger we serve, so we can make this cut in the name of good taste. Because at Hardee's, we're out to win you over.
The television news leader for South Georgia and North Florida, this is Channel 6, WCTV. Eyewitness News. From around the region, the most complete report of news, sports, and weather from the area's #1 news team. Now, live from Television Center, here is Frank Reinecke.
Good evening, everyone. A hostage standoff at a private elementary school in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, ended peacefully late tonight. A man identified as James Harvey surrendered to authorities this evening, freeing the last of his hostages, 34 students and 1 teacher. Authorities say Harvey is a Vietnam veteran with a history of mental illness who told reporters during the day he's concerned about social problems in the United States. Amanda Bevel now has the latest from the scene of today's drama.
After about 12 hours, this hostage situation at the West End Christian School in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, has been brought to a peaceful end. 42-year-old James Harvey turned himself in to authorities after apparently watching a videotape in which Alabama Governor Guy Hunt pardoned Harvey for his actions here today. As many as 80 students were held hostage throughout the day. Many of them were released unharmed safely. 26 remained through the evening until this was brought to a peaceful end. A second gunman who was involved in this incident, his role is unclear. He was let go early in the afternoon. It's uncertain if he will be charged. As far as charges against Harvey, they are uncertain. Authorities have taken him now to the Tuscaloosa jail. Reporting for CBS, I'm Amanda Bevel.
President Reagan took to the airwaves tonight in an 11th hour appeal for aid to the Contra rebels in Nicaragua. In an address shunned by the 3 major networks, the president appealed to Congress for $36 million in aid to the Contras, saying national security depends on House approval of his request tomorrow. The president talked of money pouring into the Sandinistas from Cuba and the Soviet Union, and that U.S. aid to counter the Soviets would be cut off without congressional support. The president added a last-minute sweetener by pledging not to release the military aid until the end of March. In the Democratic response, Indiana Congressman Lee Hamilton said the president's Contra aid proposal would simply cripple the Central American peace process. Hamilton said it's time to stop waging war and time to test the sincerity of the Sandinista government. He said more money for the Contras will only mean more repression, less democracy, and more Soviet aid to Nicaragua. Earlier today in Washington, while the Senate Foreign Relations Committee voted against recommending any further Contra aid, both pro- and anti-Contra aid demonstrators were making their feelings known on the outside. In view of the Capitol, there was a rally in support of more aid for the Contra freedom fighters, while a group called Mothers Against Contra Aid demonstrated against any further military aid funding for the rebels. What started as an apparent joke has soured race relations in one North Florida high school, and Eyewitness News reporter Carmen Cummings learned the distribution of the racial material at Swanee High in Live Oak has led to the suspension of 1 teacher.
Swanee County High School was in the spotlight recently after winning the Class 3A state football championship, an honor that left students bursting with pride and enthusiasm. But lately, that good old bulldog spirit has been shadowed by shades of racial tension. All the fireworks are over this so-called employment application filled with racial slurs against blacks. A student reportedly gave it to history teacher Sherwood Boatwright. Now he's been suspended with pay for allegedly allowing the material to circulate on campus, something Boatwright says he did not initiate.
I almost dropped my teeth when I was suspended because, I never had a minute's problem with any student, or any administration about anything.
I think that was just poor judgment, and what we're trying to do, and I mean, the teacher apologized, and right now the teacher we've handled a situation where the teacher's suspended right now.
Meanwhile, school leaders at Swanee High have been working to try and nip the problem in the bud before it gets out of hand.
We've never had major problems, and hopefully we won't with this. It's basically unrest right now, and that's why we're meeting with our students to try to resolve it as quickly as we can.
School officials haven't decided when or if Boatwright will be reinstated, but they are concerned about the impact his return will have on students.
Right now the hurt is still there among a lot of our students, and I feel like that if I were to ask them yes or no, they would not want him back right now.
And I could go back Monday, and I think I could pick right up where I left off.
Boatwright has been teaching for 30 years, and he says he will not be forced into retirement, nor will he resign. Carmen Cummings, Channel 6 Eyewitness News, Live Oak.
12-year-old Heather O'Rourke, the star of 3 Poltergeist movies, has died of complications from the flu. Her condition was not believed to be serious when she developed flu symptoms Sunday evening, but she died on the way to a hospital yesterday afternoon. Movie fans first knew Heather as the angel-faced girl with the long platinum hair who was taken hostage by evil spirits and then sucked into a television in the original Poltergeist. She also appeared in a number of TV shows. Despite her acting career, though, her manager said Heather was most proud of being elected president of her 5th grade class.
They said it's coming. A quarter pound, it's new at McDonald's. Nothing like it around. New cheddar melts. The sauce is cheddar. Grilled onions, too, on a light rye bun. From McDonald's to you, it's big, it's bold. See for yourself, it's a good time for the great taste.
Cheddar melt.
McDonald's.
New cheddar melt. Now get the bold new taste of a cheddar melt sandwich for just $1.49. Cheddar melt, a quarter pound of beef, grilled onions, a light rye bun, and that delicious cheddar cheese sauce. Cheddar melt, just $1.49.
There are stories so brutal and savage that you'd never in your worst nightmare thought it could ever happen to innocent children. On the next Oprah Winfrey Show, meet parents who lost all conscience and committed horrendous, heinous physical battering and abuse against their own children. How can a parent be filled with such neglect and hatred to torture their own child? We'll talk to them on the next Oprah Winfrey Show.
Join us Wednesday morning at 8 here on WCTV Channel 6.
There's a spirit in America. It's grown up with Donahue. It's the freedom of expression. It's the place to air your views. Speak your mind, America. America speaks its mind. Speak your mind, America. America speaks its mind on Donahue.
Join Phil Donahue weekdays at 9 on WCTV.
Well, if you're not sure where the economy is headed, don't feel bad. Even the experts aren't sure. They're divided over how to interpret a 3rd consecutive monthly drop in the index of leading economic indicators. 3 drops in a row often signal a recession. Florida legislative leaders have optimistically predicted they will finish the current special session on medical malpractice by Thursday. Eyewitness News reporter Dick Kane tells us that's in spite of major differences that remain on several key issues.
It was a class picture of sorts, except the class of 1988 is not very happy. The Florida Medical Association brought over 200 doctors to Tallahassee for this week's special session. Some have been forced to shut down their practices because of the constant threat of lawsuits.
No, because I was afraid to go to the emergency room. Every patient that I saw presented a problem and a fear that I might be sued.
The comprehensive medical malpractice bill being debated includes arbitration panels to resolve malpractice disputes, the capping of certain damage awards, protection for doctors who work in emergency rooms, and more authority for the state to discipline bad doctors. There's a growing sense among lawmakers that something must be done this week, but the question is, can they get organized to do it? And will it go far enough to solve the problem? House Appropriations Committee Chairman Sam Bell is the author of the malpractice bill.
I am maybe slightly more encouraged than I was a day ago. I still think that that the chances of our passing something significant are still modest.
Yet others who are following the process see no consensus whatsoever.
It's utter chaos right now. Trying to figure out where the two houses are at any particular point in time is just beyond my resources. Maybe some.
The Florida Medical Association has already made it clear that its members will not support any bill unless non-economic damages, such as pain and suffering, are capped at $100,000. Regardless of what the legislature does, the FMA still plans to go to the people with a constitutional amendment that would mandate those caps. Dick Kane, Channel 6 Eyewitness News, Tallahassee.
The Georgia Senate has voted to require all school systems in the state to offer sex education and AIDS prevention information beginning with the 1989-90 school year. Sponsors say the bill is needed to cut teenage pregnancy and the spread of AIDS. In the House, lawmakers today voted down a proposed constitutional amendment that backers said would have broadened the tax base for education. It would have authorized future legislatures to grant local school boards a revenue source in addition to property taxes. The new president of the University of Georgia told the Bainbridge audience today it's time to look to the future. Charles Knapp spoke to a meeting of the Bainbridge Rotary. The university received a lot of unwanted attention recently when instructor Jan Kemp charged she was pressured to give athletes good grades. But Knapp says he wants to close that chapter in the school's history.
Just in the Southeastern Conference in the last 5 years, I think most of the schools have had problems of one sort or another. Now, we're working hard to make sure that those don't reoccur, particularly at the University of Georgia. The presidents of major universities in this country have got to be responsible for and to take control of intercollegiate athletics. Athletics can do wonderful things for a university, but it has to be done in the context of the academic achievement of the university.
Knapp says 1988 will be a pivotal year. He says Georgia has the potential to become a nationally prominent university, but he added that leaders will have to take some risks to achieve that goal. Well, two of the nation's most well-known forecasters were in agreement today that Old Man Winter will soon be a thing of the past. Punxsutawney Phil was coaxed from his burrow in a steady rain this morning and did not see his shadow. According to folklore, that means an early spring this year. It was only the 9th time in the 101 years of the Groundhog Day event that Phil has failed to see his shadow. Phil's colleague to the south, General Lee, also came up with the same prediction of an early spring this morning. General Lee surveyed his situation after emerging from his burrow at the Yellow River Game Ranch near Lilburn, Georgia. Mike Rucker says he'll leave the shadows to the groundhogs and stick to his computer printouts. He'll check the complete forecast when Eyewitness News continues.
A million one. So, it's time.
You'd better call Southeast.
It's time.
Hey, time to call Southeast.
It's time to call Southeast.
Maybe it's time to put a Southeast banker to work for you.
It's time to call Southeast.
A college bash turns rowdy.
Any drinking going on that night?
Plenty.
Plenty.
Yeah.
How much did you have to drink?
About as much as everybody else.
That doesn't tell me a thing, sir.
Not enough.
And one student pays the penalty.
The next thing I knew, someone else jumped over me, and my face was forced into the backrest. And I got 9 stitches on my nose, 6 stitches on my eye.
Next on The People's Court.
See The People's Court at 4:30 Wednesday afternoon on Channel 6.
Well, Michael, you didn't see your shadow this morning?
No,
or you
not
did?
quite.
There you go.
I did see these.
Groundhog Day is fun, though.
It is.
But usually it's right, is it not?
I guess so. I don't know. It's pretty much kind of presented up there in the way that they want it to, I think.
I guess so. Yeah. But hey, spring-like around here and very nice
temperatures. Yes, it is. Around here, up north, though, is a big different story.
Oh, it is.
We'll talk about a lot of weather tonight, and we'll stick to our computer printouts. We
There
had a
you
low
go.
temperature in Thomasville and Tallahassee at 53 this morning as we started the day. Tallahassee Airport at 50, and we had 79 apiece for the high this afternoon. Very nice and pleasant. 19, the record low, 1951, and back in 1975, it was 81 degrees on this date. We nearly made that high this afternoon. Partly cloudy skies, some fog around the area developing again. The visibility at the airport only down to 1/8 of a mile, so drive carefully late tonight and early in the morning as you go to work or to school. 63 degrees our temperature currently with a relative humidity 96%. The wind out of the south, less than 5 miles an hour. Pressure rising a little bit. 30.26 inches of mercury. Still, high pressure is ridging just into our portion of the southeast. In fact, if you see this little line of equal pressure that we call an isobar here, that ridges right in here, that is what is protecting us from getting very much rain. The rain is going right around that little ridge that you see and up and down that Arctic cold front. It is a big different story on the other side of that front. Very cold weather, extremely cold up around that Arctic center of high pressure, where Park Rapids, Minnesota was down to 38 below zero this morning. And this afternoon, Grand Forks, North Dakota had a high temperature of 0. We have showers, a few thunderstorms moving across the northern portion of the south and to our west tonight. Again, most of that going around us with a center of low pressure over Louisiana moving up the front, with a cold front nearly becoming stationary now and should stay that way through tomorrow evening, and then by Thursday morning finally begin coming our way. A tornado touchdown in South Marengo in Alabama tonight. I believe that's in the central part of the state, somewhere near Montgomery. And some rain, freezing rain and sleet and snow in behind that Arctic front, glazing highways back into Texas and Oklahoma. And rains continue up into the northeast, changing to snow later tonight. Meanwhile, a trough of low pressure, a vigorous one, moving into California, causing heavy rains. Imperial Beach, California, over 4 inches of rain tonight, and that will be changing to snow over the southern Rockies. That'll rapidly push to the northeast, and once that happens, then I think we'll get some colder air by the latter part of the weekend. We'll come back and take a look at the forecast and the radar after this from our radar sponsor.
What if I have problems with the engine? You're covered. During the first 3 months or 3,000 miles, we pay 100% of the parts and 100% of the labor.
And the transmission?
Totally covered during the risk-free used car warranty period.
What if I get home and decide I really don't like the color?
Bring it back within the first 72 hours and we'll buy it back. We really do want you to be completely satisfied.
Well, currently, again, partly cloudy skies, 63 degrees, some scattered showers and thunderstorms up moving across Alabama and up around in between Troy, Montgomery, and Columbus. Part of that system that produced that tornado up there in Alabama, no injuries, but quite a bit of damage to a mobile home park. They seem to be attracted to them, it seems like. Those showers are moving northeast, and that's part of that rain that is moving around us right now. On the Gulf Coast, partly cloudy, a few isolated showers tomorrow. Sunshine index between 1 and 4. Water temperature in the surf at 62. Southeast to southerly breeze 3 to 16 knots tomorrow with seas between 1 and 4 feet, a light to moderate chop on the area bays. Partly cloudy, some fog around the area tonight and early tomorrow morning. Low temperature 55 to 58. Just a 10% chance of an isolated shower here. And then partly cloudy and warm tomorrow, 78 to 80 degrees and just a 20% chance of a shower or two. And then 60 for the low tomorrow night and about 76 Thursday, becoming mostly cloudy. And the rain chance goes to about 30%, maybe 40% by Thursday evening. Turning a little cooler Friday and Saturday. And so far, my computer printouts say colder on Sunday. So we'll have more about that as time goes on, of course.
Okay, thanks, Michael. Well, in sports, Florida State had a little tougher time than anyone thought they would in their basketball game tonight. While Florida A&M herded them up and moved them out, the Howard Bisons were in town. We'll show you how the Rattlers did. Ken Tomash in for Bob Warren next with Eyewitness Sports.
I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see no obstacles in my way.
Our Sun Bank professionals go out of their way, so there are no obstacles in your way.
It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day.
All right. Okay, the first president to live in the White House.
Oh, who is John Adams?
Right.
Okay, presidents for 200.
Wow, Alex Trebek.
He wasn't a president.
Jeopardy!
History for $200. The answer is the site of Napoleon's last defeat. Mike.
What is Waterloo?
Correct.
I'll take potent potables for $100.
Gee, the drinks in this place are expensive.
The answer is gin and vermouth.
Oh, what's in a martini?
Good.
I'll take food for thought for 300.
Let's make this an audio daily double.
Why will my fried eggs be scrambled today?
That's right. It's time for Final Jeopardy. Final Jeopardy? Oh. The category is Ancient Egypt. The Final Jeopardy answer is exact chemical formula of the fluid used to embalm King Tut.
King Tut?
Put it on my tab.
Jeopardy's the language of jeopardy.
Oh, be sure and phrase it in the form of a question.
Well, Ken Tomasz, let's see. Florida A&M, FSU, both at home tonight. Things didn't go exactly as planned, though, huh?
Not to say that things were all bad. It's just that people expected FAMU maybe to lose to a tough opponent and Florida State to blow out somebody.
Well, let's see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Even though the Florida A&M Rattlers are off to their best start in a decade, 13-4 coming into tonight with a 7-2 MEAC mark, tonight's game against Howard would prove if they really could win it all in the conference this year. You know, Howard's a perennial MEAC powerhouse. So tonight at Jake Gaither Gym, the Rattlers promptly fell behind the Bisons 11-0 within the first 4 minutes of the game. But they came back thanks to 26 points from Aldwin Ware. Inside for the three-point play, they took a 7-point lead with under 2 minutes to go. Reggie Henry chipped in with 22 for the Rattlers. Here he drives and kisses it off the glass. The Rattlers were a lock to win it, leading by 6 with 16 ticks left. That's when Skip Bynum popped a three-pointer to cut it to 79-76. And Tyrone Powell hit the first end of a free throw situation there, but he tries to miss the second one intentionally. FAMU grabs the rebound and holds on to win it. 79-77 the final. FAMU now 14-4 and 8-2 in the MEAC. Florida State, meantime, was supposed to have a much easier time of things with tiny Monmouth College in town tonight. Big night for Theron Mays for the Seminoles. He had 21, 3 here on the twine-seeking missile. Another night at the office, meantime, for Tony Dawson. He chipped in with 19 as Florida State opened up a 10-point lead in the first half, but Monmouth scrapped their way back into this one. Sophomore Harry Garris had 30 on the night, 2 on the bomb there, as Monmouth made it an 11-point game at the half, but 3 more for Theron Mays, and Florida State goes on to win it 82-68. They host Cincinnati on Saturday. A light evening on the top 20 schedule, just a pair of games tonight. The only unbeaten team in the country, BYU, ran their record to 16-0 by beating Tulsa 72-57, and in Big East play, 12th-ranked Syracuse all over Providence 92-71. High school action tonight, Lincoln a 10-point winner over Maclay 80-70. The Bulldogs of Sewanee County 90, Taylor County 77. Chattahoochee in a low-scoring affair 35-14 over Grand Ridge, and Leon got by Havana by 8, 73-65. You may have noticed a change in your local high school basketball court if you were at one of those games tonight. The three-point line has found its way to the prep level this year, and it's making more of an impact than just that one little extra point would have you believe. Here's Scott Atwell.
When it comes to three-pointers, this is not what high school officials had in mind, but it has been bombs away in prep basketball this year as the home run ball has perked up the game.
It's not only great for the fans, which makes the game a lot more exciting. The kids really love it, and they work on the shot a lot. I think from a coaching standpoint, it just makes the game a lot more exciting.
Has the three-pointer made it a more exciting game? Well, in terms of team scoring average, the answer is yes and no. Clubs like Quincy, Shanks, and Rickards are definitely pouring in more points this year. On the other hand, Lincoln High is down 3.5 per game.
In Georgia, it's also the first year for the three-point play, but on this side of the border, it has some folks as mad as a bulldog.
Coach Donald Rucker of Thomasville High says the three-point play is taken away from the purity of the game.
Most coaches come from the old school of working the ball around, getting it inside, get the inside game established first, but there are a lot of coaches who have had to change their strategies now as far as offense.
But the three-pointer isn't affecting the offense as much as the defense, where the zone has virtually been eliminated from some game plans.
We were 90% zone last year, but this year we're not able to sit back in zone. We play 90% man this year, so if it's done anything for us, it's made us a better defensive basketball team.
And one other thing is for certain, the little man's dunk has made it a whole new ball game in prep basketball this year. Scott Atwell, Channel 6, Eyewitness Sports.
The Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 1988 will include the first Florida State player ever to receive the game's highest honor. Fred Biletnikoff came to Tallahassee in 1962, and by his senior year, he and quarterback Steve Tensey had become one of the college game's deadliest 1-2 punches. Right after his final game in the 1965 Gator Bowl, Biletnikoff signed with the Oakland Raiders, where he played for 14 seasons, played in 4 Pro Bowls, and was the most valuable player of Super Bowl 11. Longtime FSU assistant coach Bob Harbison remembers Biletnikoff as a thinking man's player.
He studied, the game real hard, and the people he was going to play against, and I'm sure he studied other great receivers while he was in professional ball, and I think he continued to learn, and I think Fred did. Probably the last day he played, he was still improving, getting better.
The three who will join Biletnikoff at induction ceremonies in July: Mike Ditka, former Bears tight end and now the Chicago coach; Steelers linebacker Jack Ham, the second member of Pittsburgh's Steel Curtain defense of the 70s that won 4 Super Bowls to be elected to the Hall of Fame; and defensive tackle Alan Page, the first defensive player ever to win the NFL MVP award, that with the Vikings back in 1972. To Michael Irvin, a fond farewell from the folks at Florida State. The Miami All-American wide receiver is going to give up his final year of college eligibility and see what goes with the NFL draft this year. Irvin tore up the Seminoles for 6 TDs in 3 games, and now he's ready for the big time.
I will play anywhere, anytime, and for anybody that's going to throw me the ball. It's not only the money that I'm making this decision, it's just like the competition level. I would like to go up and, and try to play against the best and see how I fare against the best. I mean, you guys all know how much confidence I have in my game. So if I beat these guys, then I'm soaring.
They called Irvin the playmaker at Miami, and here's why. 143 catches in 3 years with 26 touchdowns. Irvin sure to be a first-round draft choice in the NFL draft. And Wednesday's fishing forecast has something for everyone. From the early riser to the late sleeper, midnight to 4 a.m. is the very best time. But if you want to sleep in a bit, try noon to 3:30, or when you get home from work, 6 to 9 at night. And Frank, I guess it's time to say goodbye now.
I'll tell you what, Ken Tomash's been with us, about a short, scant
7 months or so.
7 or 8 months, but Ken has certainly developed his talents in a very short period of time, and now those talents will be used in another market. And we hate to hear that.
Somewhere down south.
Where will you be going?
Fort Myers. Looking forward to it, but the people of North Florida and South Georgia have really been great to me, and I'm going to miss all of you, but it's been fun.
Yeah, and we're going to miss you, but good luck in your new career. You're a very talented young man.
Thank you, Frank. It's been a pleasure working with you.
Okay, Ken.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Well, a man with a unique and unsettling problem, his story when Eyewitness News continues.
Chevrolet, Mazda, Mercedes-Benz. Hey, South Georgia, Chevrolet Mazda Mercedes-Benz is back, and grand opening savings are coming your way. Like Corsicas and Berettas from $199 per month. No money down. We make the first payment and pay the deposit, or $750 cash back from the factory. Save thousands on Mazdas and Mercedes-Benz. Discounts on every car and truck in stock during our grand opening savings. Be a winner at Kenner Motors. We're at exit number 6 off I-75 on Valdosta Road.
Enter the private world of Tom Cruise on the next Entertainment Tonight. From his risky first role to his high-flying hit, get to know the real Tom Cruise in an exclusive interview.
I mean, it's just great. I love my life.
Now Tom Cruise tells all about his private life and loves.
I love women.
Then check out the role that gave Alan Alda his start. Plus, Sidney Poitier's back in action on the next Entertainment Tonight.
Join us for Entertainment Tonight, Wednesday at 7:30 on Channel 6.
Well, finally, we've all had them at one time or another. They are a nuisance at best and intolerable at worst. Hiccups. And as Frank Courier tells us, there's a man in Minnesota who's trying to make the best of his bad situation.
For so many people, 1922 is remembered for President Warren Harding's Teapot Dome scandal. It's the same year 94-year-old Charlie Osborne got the hiccups.
Can you remember a time when you didn't have them?
No. Charlie has learned to suppress his hiccups in the 66 years since they started on the farm while lifting butchered hogs into a barrel. Hiccup notoriety has followed Charlie for life. Sympathizers from all over the country write or phone in their recipes for relief.
So go ahead, Jeff. You tell us your cure for Charles. I'll pass it on to him.
Okay, what works good with my wife and I is when she gets the hiccups real bad, we lock lips together and breathe each other's breath.
But in Charlie's part of the world, hiccup cures involve drinking, not kissing.
Well, I usually drink water. And when 21 doctors in Rochester couldn't do it, I don't know who's going to come up with anything.
From the Mayo Clinic to the mountains of mail that pour into Charlie's kitchen, the remedies range from earplugs to peanut butter, blowing into bags, gluing magnets to your toes, drinking backwards from a cup. But last week, 2 Minnesota barkeepers swear Charlie Osborne's hiccups stopped for 10 minutes after he sampled a potion they call the Bridge Brothers Hiccup Remedy.
He was standing here waiting for the next hiccup, and it didn't come.
10 minutes out of 66 years. Well, it's a relief for him.
But 10 minutes is hardly enough. For a man who's already decided the hiccups will last as long as he lasts. And at age 94, Charlie says, Lord willing, I plan to keep on hiccuping. Frank Courier, CBS News, Aiken, Minnesota.
And he'd have a heck of a time in this business, wouldn't he? That's our news. For Ken and for Mike, I'm Frank Ranneke. Have a good night.